Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and today you have happened upon this video. If by accident, well, welcome. But if you've come back for part 3 of my spirit guides, and I might say that they are political spirit guides, answer your questions. So you guys have been so kind as to send in questions. And here I am working with my spirit guides to hopefully answer them in some way. I do channel these messages. Generally speaking, it's about 60% of my spirit guides, 40% Susan. All of that gets kind of mixed together with a mixer and a mixing bowl they're showing me. And then out comes some words that hopefully make some kind of sense, right? So thank you for joining me today. Let's get started, because this is why I'm doing a part 3, because you guys gave me so many great questions. I couldn't not answer them. They were questions that Susan even wants to know the answers to. So let's dive in, shall we? All right. First question is from Barbara Cheryl, and also from Susan Robinson. Now, honestly, you guys, a lot of you guys have the same question. We had another experience, or we witnessed another experience of Mitch McConnell, the senator from Kentucky, being videotaped in a public forum, being asked questions and freezing, and literally just freezing. You know, there was a time last week when this happened that my spirit guides were kind of joking a little bit about it. And I understand this is not a joking matter. I mean, honestly, I feel really sorry for the man. I feel sorry for him because the system keeps pushing him forward. For the love of God, the man was in Covington, Kentucky, which is nowhere land. I mean, honestly, I'm from Kentucky. It's nowhere land. It's the airport for Cincinnati, to be honest with you, across the river in Indiana. And anyway, wherever Cincinnati is, I'm connected. I don't know. I'm just telling you, I feel sorry that this man was at this, very sparsely attended event. And perhaps the guides are saying right now that might be why they chose it, right? Maybe in case he does freeze up, it won't be headline news. But come on, even one camera, and I think there was at least 3 news cameras there. This is big breaking news. So I don't know why they thought they could slip this under the rug. But the other thing that's kind of sad about it is this woman that is his handler, who's standing next to him and screaming, talking really loudly, as if to tell the media he's hard of hearing. He didn't hear you. But in reality, she's trying to jar him out of his stupor, which I find very sad. I just find the whole thing sad. Why is he freezing, and when will he retire? Well, the last time I read about Mitch McConnell, which was like about a month ago, the spirit guide said he wants to die on the Senate floor. I don't see him retiring of his own volition. What they're showing me is, looking at what's happening now, there doesn't seem to be any hue and cry for him to step down within his party. In this way, we have Mitch McConnell and we have Dianne Feinstein, and you might consider it to be sort of a standoff. You do something about your person, I'll do something about my person, but don't tell me to do something about Mitch McConnell when the Democrats have a similar person. I would say to you that they're not, the guides are saying they're not at all similar. Dianne Feinstein might not be super sharp, but she is more there. McConnell's literally blitzing out. I mean, he's just not even there. He's not there. He's having sort of, the guide said this a while back, he's having these petit mal seizures, these catatonic, is another word they want to use. The brain synapse fires and there's nobody to catch that ball. The brain is firing and nobody's answering. So he's just glitzing out. Now, Susan Robinson says, when will the Republicans insist that Mitch retire? I don't see it. I don't see it. I see him literally in a hospital bed. I'm looking, guys. I'm running a lot of scenarios. I'm looking at Governor Bashir. I'm looking at the Senate leadership, such as it is. And now there's another question in here, buried in here somewhere, that so Mitch McConnell, who's a U.S. senator, got the Kentucky State House, which was predominantly in Republican control, to pass a law that changes the outcome. It was that if Mitch McConnell had to step down, was removed, whatever, the governor would appoint a senator. Pretty big deal, especially considering it's a Democratic governor. So Mitch worked with the State House to change that law. Now, Governor Bashir is saying, I don't think that flies with the Kentucky state constitution, right? I'm inclined to appoint someone to replace Mitch McConnell myself. And you guys can take it to the Supreme Court. I mean, you guys can litigate it, but I don't really care. I'm going to replace Mitch McConnell myself. I'm not going to pay attention to this law because I don't think it's lawful. Now, so that's putting pressure. That's putting a bunch of pressure on McConnell not stepping down. And a lot of people are saying, well, why didn't Bashir, the governor, do this when the law was passed? Right? Why didn't he say this when the law was passed? Well, because McConnell wasn't ill. McConnell was doing his job, performing his role. There was no reason for Bashir to say that. It wasn't an available option. But now that McConnell is really struggling and frankly should step down, Bashir has come out and said, this is what I'm thinking that I'm going to do. I kind of wish he would have held that card a little closer to his vest, perhaps until McConnell was out, because now you've got all kind of pressure and resistance against removing McConnell. So what I see is some kind of, I don't know if there could be some kind of court. I see force. I see this coming to a head by force, but not before I see McConnell and being bedridden. I mean, the other option is what McConnell wants, which is to die on the Senate floor. But I don't see that either. I don't see that being a possibility. Anything is possible. And I will say, when it comes to people crossing over, sometimes that's above my pay grade. They don't always share that with me. That's a pretty much on a as you need to know basis. And they're like, Susan doesn't need to know. So I don't see him, although there is that. Yeah, there is that. Well, I just saw a heart attack, a stroke. Right. Oh, well, that's quite okay. But that could work. That could work. Not that I'm not wishing this on him, right? I have compassion for this man, from one human to another human. I think he needs medical care. I think he needs healing and love and attention, and not to be drug around in front of everybody the way he's being done. Even if that is his own wishes, I don't think it's right. So, but I will say that I did see a stroke. I don't know if it's a heart attack or a stroke, but it's something very sudden, very sharp, a very sharp delineation, like boom. That's what it feels like to me. And he crumples. This could be at home. Again, I'm seeing head, and I don't know if this is a stroke or he hits his head because of his heart. But again, I'm seeing something with my head, and it feels like a stroke, head, and then to the heart, and they're giving me chills on that. So would the spirit guides be amenable, open to talking about timeline here? Well, I got soon. That's not soon. I got soon, and then I got July. Unless something happened in July, which it could have. It could have been that the initial problem happened in July? Are you guys, look, we're going to have to be a little bit more clear here. Let's ask it this way. Let's ask it this way, because this is a way that I can do it without getting in trouble. Let's ask, when will Mitch McConnell's seat in the Senate be vacated? Oh, I got October. Okay, wait, let me change. Let me be more specific. When will Mitch McConnell's Senate seat be vacated permanently? Because then I thought vacated could mean that he's just, at home, can't come to work. That's vacated, but it's not permanently. So let's add the word permanently. When will Mitch McConnell's Senate seat be vacated permanently? This year? See, I think the first question was what I was seeing with the bedridden, right? Because, yeah, he vacates his seat, but it's not permanent. So when does he vacate his seat? Let's change it up. When will a new person take over Mitch McConnell's seat permanently? There's no other way they can do that. When does the energy know? Do we know? Is this something that we know? They're saying yes. Something is still going to happen in October to November, but it's not clear to me whether he can survive it, so to speak. So he might survive it, he might not. So I tell you guys, there's multiple exit points, right? There's in my experience, there's just not one exit point. Like, that's your ticket, boom. You have, 3, 4, 5 exit points. And they can be quite a ways. The other interesting thing is they can be years apart, which I don't understand. But I know this because I've seen this. I've totally seen this. So it could be that he has an exit point coming up that is soon, that is October, that is September, October, November. And that exit point could be a massive, a fatal, they're saying the word fatal. I didn't say it. A fatal event, a heart attack, a stroke. Okay. All right. So, so the way I tell you guys about the questions, it's literally an art form. So when I asked, when will he be replaced permanently? They were like bringing me into 24. But I didn't understand, right? Like, well, why are you telling me that he could cross in the next couple of months, but yet his seat isn't going to be, it wasn't making sense to me. That's why I was trying to think maybe it was multiple exit dates. But I think what might happen is the seat might be, I had the word, contested. The way the seat is filled could be contested. And while it's contested, it could be empty. So it could be that Bashir says, no, I'm going to appoint somebody. And then they take Bashir to court and they make it a stay of his action, which would leave the seat empty, which is still a win, to be honest with you, because McConnell actively blocks. So if there's nobody in that seat, there's nobody to actively block everything. So I'm going to count that as a win. So let's just go with that information. It looks like they're in the 90%. They're in the 90% that this man, God bless him, God rest his soul, may he find peace, may he find the love that would allow him to get in touch with his humanity again. His, may he find that spark of the divine in his soul when he crosses over. It's never too late. So 90% he's going to cross over before the end of the year. And a pretty good chance that this seat is contested or not active. Pretty good chance. Not 100%, but pretty good chance. All right, let's move on. That was pretty interesting for all kind of reasons. The next question is really interesting. Dar515 says, what's going to happen with the revelation that Jack Smith has 3 million, right? Isn't it 3? 3 million pages of Secret Service emails. Now, you recall perhaps that the Secret Service had a oopsie, we had to update our system and we lost all the text messages. We lost all the text messages, right? We don't know how that happened, right? Oops, right? So luckily, Jack Smith was able to get these emails. Now, we know that emails are probably more CYA, the guides are saying. So the guides are saying this is even more damning because it shows that there was support from the higher ups. They rubber stamped the actions of the Secret Service personnel that were perhaps, if not covering things up, then I can never say that word, confusing things. There's ways you can sort of cover things up without overtly covering things up. You can confuse it. You can word it a certain way. But what the 3 million pages does is they're showing me it paints such a big picture you cannot deny. There's no denying it. There's absolutely no denying it. So they're also saying that this again, that casts a wide net. So it goes beyond, apparently it goes to senators and House members and police, Capitol Police, even people that aren't elected officials, certainly attorneys, other types of people, political aides. I mean, it's a wide net. So again, if we go back a year, you're going to have heard me say that they put a net on the ocean floor, and and when they went to raise the net up, there was too many fish in it. It was too heavy. They could not lift the net. This is what I'm talking about right here. 3 million pages of emails. So many hundreds, thousands of people are implicated. They just told me thousands of people are implicated. And that will shake down to hundreds, which will shake down to what they're saying to be about 50 to 55 people that will be directly implicated, indicted. Some of these people could be, we already mentioned this, but they're showing me again, Congress people and senators. Now, what this does is it's not in and of itself damning, but it's culpability. It's, again, if you need 20 pieces of evidence to convince a jury, beyond the shadow of a doubt, then this is one of those 20 pieces of evidence. And perhaps it's 5 pieces of evidence. It certainly adds to the culpability of these people that created created the crime or committed the crime. Now, this is for entertainment purposes only and allegedly, but I am seeing Matt Gaetz here, allegedly. I'm seeing Boebert. I'm seeing MTG. I'm seeing the Biggs, Jordan, Rand Paul. Anybody else? Grassley. They just showed me Grassley. There's somebody else. Who I said Jordan. Yeah. Who was the guy that did the fist pump that was running out of the Capitol? Is that Jordan? That's not Jordan. That's somebody else, but him too. Anybody else? Oh, okay. Also, the word cover up. Literally, you're going to hear the word cover up, meaning that the Secret Service, that they did. I said this just a few minutes ago, that they tried to confuse. They did everything they could except for cover it up. Well, now the guides are saying it was a cover up, and it was connected. The emails with the Secret Service connect outside people, again, back to House members, back to senators. And there was an active cover-up. And these emails are damning. They're just damning. And what's going to be the outcome for the Secret Service? We already talked about this, that the Secret Service was going to pay a price. We talked about this in part 1, that no one is covering for them, right? No one is willing, meaning the DOJ, the Biden administration, no one is saying go easy. They're saying, do what you got to do, Jack Smith. You do what you got to do. This is completely hands off. We're not going to go to bat for these people. We're not going to put in a good word for them. Nothing. Hands off. Let justice do its thing. So this is damning. This is a really big deal. And this is also why they keep giving me chills. And this is also why Garland could not, when I had that vision of they couldn't lift the net because there was like Moby Dick was in there. It was Garland. This was before Jack Smith. And so I kept telling you guys, Garland is overwhelmed. Like he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. Normally, aren't these people all off limits? Normally aren't all these people untouchable? And yet here he is with a net full of untouchables. Moby Dick, the whole big group is all untouchables. And he was like, now what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know this is what I was going to get. He really thought he was going to get 3rd, 4th, 5th string criminals that were supporting or whatever. He didn't know he was going to get the creme de la creme of the political highest ranking people. And so that's why he brought in Jack Smith, because there's this sense that Garland is saying, my hands are off. No one can say this is politicized because I'm not doing anything. Biden is saying, I'm not doing anything. It's all on Jack Smith, who they brought in from outside, even outside of the country. So this is damning. This is going to have, and I believe that this is not even in play yet. These emails haven't really been tapped to the full extent that there is evidence there yet. Meaning all the other cases didn't even use this stuff yet. So there's another case or two that Jack Smith has queuing up. He's lining it up. He's queuing it up. And it's going to feature these emails, and it's going to be big. I'm just asking them if this is in any way connected to Fani Willis's case. Corroborating is what I get, like corroborating information, corroborating evidence. There is overlap, they're saying. So this is a big deal. Yeah, this is a big deal. And again, whereas Governor Beshear kind of probably showed his ace in his sleeve too early by saying he was going to do his own thing in regards to Mitch McConnell, and therefore now there's a lot of resistance, even more so. With Jack Smith, you don't see that. Jack Smith and Fani Willis keep their ace in their sleeve, and they don't play it until it's the guides are saying it's the fatal blow. They wait to play these things because it is the fatal blow. It is the last thing. Like the last time you're going to see my face is when I pull out this card, right? So that's what these emails can represent. Wow, that's pretty intense. Okay, let's move on. Weird History and Odd News says the political situation in Tennessee is appalling. It absolutely is. The bravery of the two Justins and Gloria calling out the racist, ignorant, good old boy Republican network is heart-wrenching. It truly is. If you're not familiar, it wouldn't be a bad thing to familiarize yourself with it, because this is indeed justice being usurped in plain sight with no hesitancy. These people literally are they're creating double laws, double standards. They're not following the laws in the books. They're actively breaking the law. And what's the timeline for Tennessee, and specifically for their state house, is government intervention. This young man, these two young men, Justin, both named Justin, are going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court. They are firebrands. They are, I feel like if they're not the reincarnation of civil rights firebrands, then they've picked up the mantle, they've picked up the baton of that particular, that particular fight, and they are carrying it forth. This is their energy. Their energy is literally out of 1960s, literally. And how interesting that of all places they're in the Tennessee State House. So the timeline is these three, the two Justins and Gloria, are going to not stop pushing. This is what I'm saying. Like, where other people would sit down and maybe say, this is really wrong and this is illegal, but we're not going to push the system. They push the system. I mean, they literally are making these Republicans, these Tennessee Republicans, break laws because they're saying, I'm going to exercise my right. Period. This is my right. This is my legal right. And so it's so egregious to these, white men and some women that they're just quashing it illegally. So the timeline is intervention, is a Supreme Court intervention, district court intervention. This is so what they're showing me is, we're a republic. You always hear the Republicans, right? They're always saying, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. Well, we're a republic because because of states' rights. And Republicans are all about states' rights. They want the states to have rights to govern, and they want the government to stay out of everything, right? But we know the federal government is kind of like the parent. You can't allow the kids to always, do everything and make their own decisions because they make bad decisions. And so the government comes in and says, for the good of the people, for the good of the people of the whole United States, we're going to pass a law that everybody has to wear a seatbelt. That goes across state lines. But you'd be surprised. The laws on the books right now, that there's actually laws on the books that if Illinois doesn't want to recognize Texas's driver's license, they don't have to. And then I could not drive in Illinois. Now, of course, we don't do that because we need interstate travel, interstate trucking, and we need that. So, but the laws on the books allow states to have this kind of independence. And what the guides are telling me is that we're going to have to sort of reduce states' rights because, as we're seeing, and never mind. The guides told me this many times. They told you this many times. They're reminding me that we would fix these problems at the federal level. We would fix abortion at the federal level. We would fix civil rights at the federal level. We would fix the ERA at the federal level. We would, we have to fix these things globally so that all the states have to follow the same rule. Because and again, like what they just showed me was marijuana, right? I mean, I was just in Colorado and I didn't imbibe because I didn't need any more reason to not be productive. I was already out in nature all the time. But Colorado, weed is legal, not legal in Texas, right? So if you're going to visit Colorado and get something and bring it here, you broke the law. So that's creating problems. And they're reminding me the same thing with gay marriage, right? Remember when you could go to Vermont and get married, but yet, Texas didn't acknowledge. So it seems to me that the energy, it's breaking apart our democracy in the sense that it's a republic is not working. They're also showing me we're going to start having states, and I believe this is already true. I believe maybe Oregon, they're showing me, or someplace Pacific Northwest has passed really stringent gun laws. Well, not in Texas. not in Florida. So you end up having this unworkable, the guides would say it's unworkable mismatch of state laws that don't allow citizens cannot understand the law in the new state and therefore inadvertently break the law. It's not like when you drive into a new state, it says, welcome to Texas. And by the way, these things are illegal. You know what I mean? It's the onus is on the citizen. And it's too much. The system cannot bear it. So going into 24, going into 25, and why is this important with Tennessee? Because of this, because they're not honoring their own constitution. Here we are again. They're reminding me, Kentucky, Governor Beshear says, I think our constitution says that the state Senate cannot do this. Yet they did. Same thing in Tennessee. So you see now the energy. The energy is the states have gone berserk, basically, and now they're doing their own thing, and it's not working. It's not working. The threads that hold all of us, all the states together, are fraying, breaking apart. It's just not working, guys. So what we're going to be seeing is a lot of intervention at the federal level. The federal level, meaning the Congress and the Senate, is going to step in and say, we need to make this easier. We're going to go ahead and maybe legalize, marijuana. Maybe we're going to go ahead and make a choice, bring back a woman's right to choose. We're going to bring back more hate crimes, more anti-racism. We're going to bring back more teeth in gerrymandering. We're not going to allow this gerrymandering. We're going to bring in voting rights. So these are all like really heavy duty. Everything is heavy to me. Like this net with all these fish in it, too heavy, can't lift it. These things I'm talking about, Congress and the Senate passing, feel heavy. It's a heavy lift. Like they're struggling, and then they get it over the wall. They're heavy because I wouldn't say that all Americans want these things. I would say the majority does, but the majority doesn't get a good vote at the ballot box because of gerrymandering. So it's a heavy lift, but I do see it happening in 24 and 25 and 26. I think every year there's another hard-fought, hard-won bill that gets over the desk of the president and signed. And in this way, we're going to put things back, I want to say in place or in play, meaning so that it works, so that we can have this kind of street connection again. We can be cohesive again, because we're not. We're splintered, right? Okay, that was a lot. Hopefully that made some sense. Thank you so much for your question. Weird history and odd news. Next question is from Charlotte, London. And this is the Brics Summit. The Brics, B-R-I-C-S, Brics Summit was held last week. And thank you for telling us what it is. I appreciate you. This is an informal group of states, meaning like country states, comprised of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's how they got the Brics name. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Look, these are the heavy hitters, right? Because, well, China supplies the whole world, right? Brazil has all these natural resources. Russia is the thug. And India is busy playing everybody against everybody else, right? India really is, of everybody that I look at in this energy, they feel like they're showing me a yearbook that, under the name of India, it says most likely to succeed. You know what I mean? Like, of the underdogs, India thinks they're the ones that's going to pop out. They feel like it's their turn. They certainly have the mass, the continent size. They certainly have the population to meaning to rival in some ways China in becoming a producer of materials, because this is what it's all about, right? It's all about, these countries are heavy hitters in the sense that they either have minerals or they have something valuable, or people, labor force, whatever. And these countries have band together. I want to say against, but you might say on the other side of, instead of being against, on the other side of NATO or I can't think of the name of it, the European Union, right? Or the United States. They sort of said, we're going to be out here. We're going to be our own entity. Now, the funny thing is that this is falling apart. I didn't know this. Yeah, it is an informal group, but it is an important block of countries. They hold a lot of power. And if they could stay together, they would be formidable. They would be a dominating force in our world order. But I see them falling apart. There's infighting. Everybody is feeling Russia is tarnishing them. Russia is absorbing resources that could be more evenly divided. Meaning, I don't know what that means. They see Russia as like a sinkhole with all the resources going to Russia and no resources going to anybody else. They think that the war on Ukraine was ill-advised. They see that it's going to fail. It's falling apart. The Brics is falling apart. I didn't know this. There's maybe because Russia has tarnished, has dropped down in their power structure or ability. So now there's people scrambling to get to the top and take over where Russia was kind of like the heavy hitter. Because people know now that Russia isn't what they said they were all along. They were the bully. They threatened everything. They threatened everybody. Well, it turns out we know now that these were empty threats. All of their threats were empty threats, right? So that means there's a power vacuum going on. There's something going on between China and India. India and China are fighting. And I feel like on the down low, Biden is working with Brazil. Biden's trying to get a lot of the South American countries to come over to our side, to work with us more than these despots, and to get rid of their own despots and to be more democratic, because they have so much resource down there. There's just an amazing amount of resources, minerals and all kinds of resources in South America. And it's relatively close to the United States of America. So it's not going to be a quick thing. It's not going to be this year, next year. It's one of these things where he understands that he's working on like a 5 or 6 year timeline. So he's kind of creating a program or a path that perhaps his successor, whoever that might be, could continue it. So he understands he's going, he's playing long. He's not going to be doing this. This isn't anything that's going to be complete in a week or a year or 2 years, but he's willing to help with some infrastructure. He's willing to dedicate some intellectual property, bring some people down there that can help. He's willing to play ball with them, even though some of these countries are not democratic. He's willing to sort of show his good faith. He really wants to be open and honest and work with them in good faith. Also, they just showed me the Amazon, right? So there's also a sense of wanting to work with these companies and these leaders to set aside the Amazon, to protect the Amazon. So it's actually South America is a really big a big, big thing in Biden's energy. It's really important right now. So he's going to be trying to kind of peel Brazil away from the Brics. And it's possible because Russia has created a vacuum and power matrix mayhem. Okay, let's move on. Sharon Kurth says, okay, here's the question. If candidate Trump, meaning, candidate when he's running, is disqualified to be elected under Article 14, this is a complicated question. I'm going to try to read it slowly. Will Congressman Jeffries, Senator Schumer refuse to administer the oath of office to those politicians reelected who were also disqualified under Article 14, which requires the states that reelected them to hold special elections to send qualified people to Washington to represent their states? Okay. Yes, the answer is yes. However, it's going to be done a little differently. The guides just tell me we can't decide that they've going to be disqualified under Article 14. We need a court case. We need it to be decided by fair and just legal proceedings that they broke Article 14. Once that's the case, then no one's going to certify them. No one is going to certify them. But we can't just say, there's no governing body that the guides are showing me that can say, yeah, you broke Article 14, so we're not going to certify you. To me, what the guides are saying, unless something changes, this has to be decided by a court of law. Once it's decided by a court of law, then yeah, so again, this might also be a byproduct. It could be that they're being charged or indicted with, well, kind of treason, but there's an S word, isn't there? So once they're rung up on that, then no, it's over, game over. Plus also, they can be in office while the court case is going on, while they're indicted. There's nothing in the Constitution that says they have to step down. They only have to step down once they've been convicted. So that's a moot point. Once they're convicted, they can't be in office anyway. So let me go back to your question, because what you're saying is, because if Trump is disqualified, I think your question supposes that these other people would be disqualified simply because Trump was disqualified. But the guides, I don't see that. I could be wrong. I could be so wrong, but I don't see it. I don't see it being that simple. I just don't see it being that simple. It seems to me that there needs to be some kind of ruling before that can happen. It's not, I don't feel like it's going to happen just because Trump was ruled and disqualified, that it would automatically disqualify these other people. I think it automatically gives these other people a court date. And maybe I'm wrong. The bottom line is that if these people, these House members and senators, are disqualified for Article 14, then yes, we will have special elections. If it happens before our scheduled election, we'll have a special election. Now, what my understanding is that the state, this costs money. Having special elections costs a lot of money. So sometimes the state says, we're not going to have a special election because our set election is in 3 months. So we'll just let that seat be vacant for 3 months. So that's also a possibility. And your second question was, will this affect Michael Flynn and his co-conspirator brother by terminating their service in the military? Well, okay. Mike Flynn is retired. Now he's getting he's getting all of his benefits removed and court-martialed. I heard removed and court-martialed. For them to do that, I mean, I guess this can happen. I mean, who am I to say? But they talk about when you're in the military, They talk about the fact that they can reinstate you and then court-martial you and give you a dishonorable discharge and remove all of your benefits. But they would have to reinstate him to do that. But the energy suggests they might do it. The energy suggests that they're going to go for the jugular when it comes to Michael Flynn. He has disgraced this branch of the military, and they want him gone. They want him blacklisted. They want to make an example of him. Okay. Now his brother, I can't remember the brother's name, who is now like a 1 or 2 star general over the theater, the Pacific Theater, which is China, which is just like, it just makes you want to pull your hair out and roll on the floor. That's what I want to do. But anyway, the brother who's currently serving court-martialed. Woof, wow. Let's just add allegedly here. That was abrupt and heavy. Traitor. Seditious. That's the word with the S. Wow. Okay, yeah, I don't think it looks good for them. I don't think it looks good for the Flynn brothers. It looks ugly. Now, this might be next year. It might be 24. It might be, closer, unfortunately, maybe around the election. It feels like, and then if that's the case, they might sort of put it on ice until 25. But yeah, it's 25. Do I have to wait till 25? No, I feel like 24. I feel like this is 24. There's sort of a bloodbath, if you will. It's a terrible word to use, but there's this, all of these things are happening in 24. Like all of these people are getting convicted, not indicted, convicted, jail time. It's like karma is running amok and it's just bopping people over the head everywhere. It's literally karma mayhem. And there's this sense of panic, like there's this invisible force coming for you and you can't see it. And it keeps you up at night. You don't know when it's going to come. And you don't know, it got your buddy, but it didn't get you. And is it going to get you? And it's terrorizing. This is how these people feel next year. Terrorized, hunted. Hunted is how they feel. Karma is hunting them one by one. God bless America. If you could feel that energy, it's scary as all get out. And and I'm seeing that the Flynns, one or both, may flee. They're not going to stick around to pay this price. They're going to flee. But I just heard gulag. Gulag? That sounds like a foreign prison. Yeah, you can't outrun this. You can't. I just saw this whole picture of them going to even China or to Saudi Arabia, Russia, anywhere. And I see this picture of Biden on the bat phone and he puts it down and the guy is in a worse gulag than anything we could come up with. So go ahead and buy that ticket because it's gonna be better for you in your punishment. And I mean bad, like rats. I'm not even going to describe it. It's really bad. It's inhumane, is what Americans would say. This is an inhumane way to keep a prisoner. Sounds like Russia to me. Who knows? But whatever it is, it's don't underestimate Dark Brandon, y'all. Do not underestimate Biden. Don't do it. You would be at your peril. At your peril. Okay. CK Pierce says, what do the guides say about so much United States property being purchased by unknown entities? Isn't that stupid on our part? It is stupid. It's really stupid. Actually, there's you did mention SA, the country SA, but also the country C. All kinds of countries are buying United States. It's not the word. It's not properties. It's more like they're buying assets. They're buying assets the SA country bought farmland and is growing this crop that uses so much water that they cannot grow it over there because it uses too much water. So they're going to come over here and use our water to grow a crop they want that they're going to export to themselves for free. Meanwhile, using our agricultural water, using our streams, using our snow melt, using our reservoirs, using our groundwater. It's crazy. But this is the Republican playbook. The Republican playbook is everything's got $1. Everything's got $1, right? Our schools, privatize them. Healthcare, privatize them. Military, privatize it. NASA, privatize it. So everything's got $1. So for them, to them, land is just dollars. It doesn't matter if you sell it to your worst enemy because we got some dollars. They're so short-sighted. Again, there's this energy of we need the parents to come in the room and get everybody settled down, right? The parents, meaning the federal government, need to come in and say, this isn't good for our national security. For instance, another thing they're showing me is SA, the country, owns a lot of oil refineries here. So let's see. We have the oil, which we jack up the price of anytime we want for any reason. And we also own the refineries. We don't need America, right? We got a closed loop ecosystem. But America needs us because they need the oil we're producing. Definitely illustrates how the Republican playbook works. Look, if it worked, I'd be fine with it. It doesn't work. It does not work in any way, shape, or form. So again, I see the same energy. And I told you guys this, in the last video. The energy is pervasive. It's everywhere. All of these problems are connected. The source, it's all like from a similar source of energy, but they're manifesting differently. And luckily, we're going to go into the source and fix the problem, which is federal regulation. So anyway, I'm going to let that go. And Divorce says, what will happen to the Maga followers after Trump crosses over? We should make that a religious holiday. I'm going to make it a religious holiday. I don't know about you, but I'm going to mark it on my calendar. And this is when I get in trouble. This is when I get in trouble. The guide's like, one of their eyebrows is raised. Like, really? I'm like, oh, shit. I just signed up for like 5 more lessons in the next lifetime. Okay. I rescind, Your Honor. I would like to rescind my statement. Okay. Strike it from the record, please, universe. Okay. What will happen to the Maga followers after Trump passes? Well, it kind of depends. It depends on if he passes sooner. If he passes in the next 6 months, he's going to be a hero and he's going to be somebody they worship. And it's not going to be helpful for us. If he passes, say, after mid next year, it's not going to have that much of an effect. There's really the energy is going to change that much between, say, now, this is September 23, and say July of next year, June, July of next year, which what I'm seeing is like his, how do I describe this? His reputation is dropping. So that's helping. That time is going to help not only just his supporters, but everybody get a handle, understand, right? And I know a lot of you guys have been really wanting his court case to be recorded and broadcast, and I always saw it not being broadcast, but it turns out I think Fani Willis, again, Georgia, ground zero, Atlanta, Georgia's ground zero, she's going to broadcast it, and I really think that is going to help a little bit. But you have to understand that These people have drank the Kool-Aid. They're not going to, it's not that they think he's a bad person. It's not that they think that he's a criminal. It's none of those things. They think he can't get the job done. So don't think these people are going to just change their stripes, because they're not. They're still going to be a basket of deplorables, but they're not going to be a basket of deplorables that will vote for Trump, because they don't think he can get the job done. So they're going to be a basket of deplorables voting for, somebody else that's terrible and despicable. I don't see that. I don't see these people lasting. I don't see DeSantis lasting. I don't see Trump lasting. I don't see any of these people that are running right now. I don't see them lasting, with maybe the exception of Nikki Haley might be around, but she's not even despicable enough for them, right? So in that case, I see them just sitting it out. So what's going to happen is they're going to sit out. They're going to be, a lot of them are crossing over. They cannot, our planet is ascending. Planet Earth is ascending. The vibration is raising. With or without us, doesn't matter, right? She's ascending. She's expanding. Now, a lot of humans are also expanding. A lot of us are trying to be more love and light, trying to be less judgmental. We're trying to love each other. We're trying to find some compassion. I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm not saying be a victim, but I'm saying you can have compassion for someone without being a doormat. And you can have compassion for someone while you're voting against them, or while they're, being indicted and convicted and in prison. It doesn't mean that we're not going to take care of business, right? So, but these other people that have no compassion for anybody that doesn't look like them, no compassion for anybody who isn't heterosexual, no compassion for anybody that doesn't think like them, that's not going to fly. Their vibration cannot hack, cannot withstand, cannot stay alive in the increasing vibration. Now, it doesn't mean also that, in 28, we're going to have nirvana. I already told y'all this. This is always going to be a learning planet. Always. We're going to have new despicable people. We're going to always have thieves and crooks and killers and blah, 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 because this is a learning planet. Free will. But it does mean that a lot of these people that are at this vibration, so they're showing me even a crook can raise their vibration. So I guess what we'll have is higher vibration crooks. I don't know. Like, maybe they'll apologize after they take your wallet. I don't know. Maybe they'll be like, no, I'm taking your wallet, but after this, you should really take a salt shower, and you should really get some sage, and honestly, you should just look over your back more often. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, we're going to have more conscious raising crooks or something, I don't know. I'm just saying a lot of these people are crossing over. They really are. They already have been. We already know that more of them crossed over during the pandemic than more of the blue people. So that's what's going to happen. They're going to go underground because they're not going to feel welcome. They're going to feel hunted. Remember that energy of being hunted? They're going to feel hunted. They're going to feel put upon, and they're going to go underground. That doesn't mean they're not dangerous. I mean, it's just as dangerous to have a boss that you don't know is a racist or a homophobe, as it is when you do know, right? The energy is still there. It's just not necessarily so available for everybody to see. I don't know. I hope that answered your question. YouTube 7819. Oh, YouTube name. I like your name, YouTube name. Says, which countries will next join NATO? Now, what I did was, because I have a limited, it's hard enough for me to handle these spirit guides. If you guys would ask questions like, these countries, which of these countries will join NATO? That's like, then I can dial into the countries. So what I did was I looked up to see what countries are next in line, so to speak. So here's what Google said. Currently, 4 partner countries have declared their aspirations to join NATO membership, and they are Bosnia, Herzegovina, Georgia, Sweden, and Ukraine. So now that I'm looking at these countries, I can kind of tune in and see which ones have energy. Well, we know Ukraine is going to join. The question is when. Ukraine cannot join NATO while it's at war. So that kind of leaves Ukraine out probably for 24. Maybe 24, but most likely not 24. So then I'm looking at Sweden. Sweden feels good. And oddly enough, Bosnia feels good. Bosnia and Sweden feel, and then Georgia, and then Herzegovina, and then Ukraine. Now, several of these can go in at the same time, right? I mean, you could have Sweden and Bosnia go in, but all of these look really promising. Somebody might join this year. One of these countries might be joining in 23, like, November or December. I'm looking at Herzegovina. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Thank you so much. Scarlett 0528 says, oh, what is this question? Will McCarthy go along with the Maga congressional members in trying to impeach President Biden? I know it will fail in the Senate, but I'm beyond disgusted with the House members. Joe Biden has got something on McCarthy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like in one of their meetings when the debt ceiling was happening. And remember, they had these private meetings. I don't know if Joe put some kind of fatherly smackdown on him and cracked him open or something, because there's some energy between Joe and McCarthy. And it's the same thing with, like, I don't get it, but Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell. Joe Biden keeps saying, I know y'all don't believe me, but Mitch McConnell's a friend of mine, and I'm going to call him and see how he's doing. And I'm thinking, how can you do that? Like, how can he be your friend? This dude is second place for devil, right? Like, but it's this thing that Biden has. He understands people's, insecurities and also their humanity. He gives them a lot of leeway for the fact that they're just humans doing the best they can. So I feel like McCarthy doesn't want to go against Joe. Maybe Joe has something on him, or maybe Joe has just cracked his heart open and found some, semblance of some kind of heart there. I don't know. But I'm not saying McCarthy won't do it. I'm saying McCarthy doesn't want to do it, but when I go into the energy, he's being made to do it. He has to do it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I was seeing the Freedom Caucus kind of barking at him, and no shade to Chihuahuas, but the Freedom Caucus energetically just looks like these Chihuahuas with these oversized teeth, like, and McCarthy's like, God dang, they won't stop biting my ankles. It's like his pants are frayed from these Chihuahuas. But be that as it may, folks, guess who I saw was pulling some strings? The Kremlin, the R country. The R country is pulling his strings. I wouldn't say pulling as much as pushing. It's like they're pushing him. Go do it. You said you would do it. Now go do it. It's like they're shoving him from the back. And you know how when you're shoved and you don't want to walk forward, you kind of like jump a couple of steps because he's trying not to walk. So he's kind of jumping steps because he's being shoved. Gosh, dog it. Is he going to do it though? That's the question. He's got free will. Talking about 5D chess. There may come a vote, but I don't think it goes through. I'm not sure. I'm getting yes and no. They can't save themselves. I mean, but the thing I saw with the 5D chess was these people by now know that they're being targeted. They know they're being investigated by Jack Smith. And because of the way they think, this sophomoric sort of tit for tat kind of way that they think that they can parlay this. Hey, we won't impeach Biden if you lay off of this, don't investigate this. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, people. We're not in the third grade. How many times do I have to tell y'all you're not in the third grade? Sit down. Sit down. Crazy people. They're going to try to do it. I just don't know that they're going to do it, because there are people who think that if they do vote for the impeachment, they're going to be investigated more. In other words, to turn it around, they think if they don't vote for impeachment, it's a get out of jail free card. They think they'll be overlooked for their good deed. So there are people, Republicans, who aren't going to vote for impeachment because they're trying to save their own backside. Once again, that's not how it works. Okay. Close it down. Sorry that I didn't get to all these questions, but we covered quite a bit. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really appreciate you guys. I really, really do. I don't know how else to tell you other than thank you. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you for participating, for sending the questions in. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the support. Take really, really good care of yourselves, and know that 99.9% of everything we talk about isn't going to affect you directly. So other than voting, other than maybe if you got $5, send it to a candidate. If you can work for a local candidate, if you can do some door knocking, or you can make some phone calls, those are things that you can do. Those are actions you can take to make yourself feel better about, the crappy position we're in. Other than that, once you've done your job, once you've done whatever it is, even if it's just saying a prayer, you say, my work is done. I've done what I can do. I'm going to give it up to God. I'm going to give it up to Spirit. I'm going to give it up. Not mine. I did what I could do. I'm going to pass the ball to the other side and know that work is being done on your behalf so that you can then take care of yourself. You don't have to watch the news every day. You don't have to be involved in this negativity every day. For us to get out of this negativity loop, we have to get out of the negativity loop because we're perpetuating it to a degree. So do what you can do to stay educated, but then heal your soul, expand your soul, do something nice for yourself, do something nice for the environment, go out and water the tree, go out and hug the tree, go out and admire something beautiful, partake in something funny so you can raise your vibration, and try not to worry about any of this. Worrying about it isn't going to fix it. It's not going to make it go away. It's not doing anything except for jacking up your vibration and then causing you to send up jacked up vibration to the universe, which adds to the jacked upness of the universe, right? That's why we suggest take action so you feel better, whatever that is. Then say, my work is done. Thank you. May the next person carry my work a little further. And in this way, many hands make light work. And then take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. We're the ones that need to be here on the other side of this mess so that we can straighten the table up, put the curtains back on the wall, sweep out all the fur from the gnashing and the biting that all the Republicans have done. So let's take care of ourselves so we have the energy to do so. And let's take care of ourselves so that we're in a good place vibrationally when that happens and they need us to step in and clean the place up after the brawl. All right. Take really good care, everybody. We'll talk soon. Susan Lynn, Psychic Medium, signing off. for entertainment purposes only.